On Larry King Now, Bill Maher, the outspoken TV host, will talk about Obama.
I always said he was not going to be chocolate Jesus, and he wasn't. When people say, well, he promised change, and then look what happened, we didn't get it. Bullshit. He promised change, and he delivered change.
And Governor Romney.
He's a windsock of a man, Larry. He's a etch-a-sketch, as they said. He's a human weather vane. Whatever is pressuring him the most is the direction he goes in.
And his thoughts on the upcoming debates.
Some people will watch the debate. They'll judge it based on something super stupid, like what tie a guy wore, and they'll miss the big picture. And yes, they could very well judge that Mitt Romney won the debate.
Plus, who the heck in this race would be undecided?
The media likes to romanticize them as if they're poring over the facts, and actually they're morons who know nothing. And the thing is that they're probably not going to vote anyway.
That's next on Larry King Now. We go back a long way, Bill Maher and I. He used to appear on my late-night radio show years and years ago, and I was honored when he co-hosted with Ryan Seacrest my last show on CNN. Mm-hmm. He's known for, are you nodding? Yes, he's known for blurring the line between politics and comedy. He's got that hit show on HBO, Real Time with Bill Maher, which I watch. Sometimes I watch it twice. He started his career as a stand-up comic and still performs across the country, always sold out at all theaters. Bill, thank you for appearing with us on Larry King Now.
Well, not always sold out, Larry. I think we're trying to plug a few things here today.
I hope I have a list of it. Okay. There's no better commentator, no matter what's your personal political beliefs, than Bill Maher on politics.
Well, a lot of conservatives would disagree with that.
What is your total assessment of the current race?
I mean, I can't believe that Mitt Romney is tied in some of these polls. I looked at Gallup the other day. He was tied. 2 days ago, I saw that Mitt Romney's 14 points ahead among the middle class. I'm like, what does this guy have to do to lose a voter? He already got up and said, well, I mean, there was a surreptitious tape, but basically people heard him say that half the country are lazy losers who are sponging off the government. But
I saw polls that show the other way. The New York Times had a front page story that in key states, it's all the electoral.
That's column. Right. Yes, of course. But I mean, basically the race is so close and so tough, and this guy has done nothing but make mistakes. I mean, I pronounced him dead in the water about 2 weeks ago when he made that horrible gaffe with the Libyan embassy, coming out right after that and saying Obama, did the wrong thing when it wasn't even from Obama. But of course, in Republican fantasy world, something that the embassy says is something that the White House said, even though it's not what they said. And how can you vote for a guy who we can imagine in our head doing a thing like this? That's basically their campaign. But I guess half the people in this country, they don't think about it too hard. And what they think is, well, the economy isn't perfect. He said he was going to bring change, and it didn't start raining 20s right away.
Why be surprised then if the public's disappointed in him? Would be logical. In fact, shouldn't the challenger be way ahead?
Well, it's Mitt Romney, and it is the Republican Party, and they do not have a platform other than, I don't know, shitting on anybody who doesn't have a car elevator. I mean, how this guy gets half the votes. I mean, I don't think he's going to win, but he could. And
would it frighten you if he won? I mean, would you be worried about your country?
I would. I mean, one of the reasons I made that $1 million donation to Obama was because I thought it would be actually better for the money I did have left after I gave it. Seriously. I mean, it's not only that the Republican policies have failed in the past. We've proved that. We've tried trickle-down economics a couple of times. Bill Clinton laid this out very well at the Democratic convention. And I think that made a big difference. I think people actually listen to that because he somehow has the status now as this elder statesman. This is the guy who they hated to his core. Remember, they went after his wife. They went after his penis.
They impeached him.
They said he killed Vince Foster. They impeached him, right? He was a coke dealer. He was everything they could possibly say about him, except what they say about Obama. The one thing he wasn't was black. And somehow they all love Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Somehow Bill Clinton is this neutral figure now, which great, because it hurts the Republicans. If he's this guy who's the arbiter of American politics and everyone's going to listen to him, that's terrific for Obama. I think he's Obama's best weapon right now.
But what if Romney turns back to the governor of Massachusetts and suddenly...
I don't think he can. See, that's the thing.
I mean, when in office, supposing he wins and then becomes a moderate
I think
Eisenhower president.
He's a windsock of a man, Larry. He's a etch-a-sketch, as they said. He's a human weather vane. Whatever is pressuring him the most is the direction he goes in. Yes, when he was in Massachusetts, that's a liberal state. Remember, it was the only state that voted Democratic in a couple of the landslides. Yeah. I think Dukakis, it was the only state he won. Mondale. So when he was obviously a Republican governor in that state, he had to tack way to the left because of Massachusetts. He's not going to be in that position. He's going to be getting the teabaggers. They're the ones who are going to be with the lash on his back when he's president. And he's going to be a very conservative president.
But he passed a health care plan that is now the national health care plan. It's really Romney Care. And when he passed it, he said that all Americans should be entitled to be covered by insurance. He believed, that...
You mean Mitt Romney has flipped on something, he said? That's so hard to believe. I never
Ted
heard that
Kennedy
about
was in the picture with him when he signed it.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he said, when has he ever said, almost every issue you can go down the line.
Well, what do you do, though, if the party, let's say you're the Republican candidate, and 40% of the party's being taken over by the Tea Parties, how do you run? I mean, a very decent guy, Huntsman, didn't have a prayer. Are there any moderate Republicans left? What do you do?
Well, wait a minute. I went through John Huntsman's record and what he was campaigning on one day at my show. He was no different than any other ones. This idea that there's a big split in the Republican Party between the Tea people and the old school Republicans, it's bullshit. They believe the exact same thing. John Huntsman also wants to cut taxes for rich people. Go down the line. John Huntsman believes almost everything that Rick Santorum believes or Newt Gingrich believes. Somehow he got this reputation as a moderate. There are no moderates in the Republican Party, and he is certainly not one of them. And Mitt Romney is not one of them either. They believe in the fantasy world of trickle-down economics, even though we proved that it doesn't work twice before, once under Reagan and once under Bush the unready, Bush the second, and it's not going to work again. And, you know, I saw Mitt Romney on 60 Minutes the other day, and he's saying, you know, well, if we go with Obama, we're going to run up the debt again. This man who... First of all, most of the deficit under Obama is for stuff that Bush bought and did not pay for. Only about 10% of it is due to Obama, and that's because he had to spend money to dig out of the hole that the last guy drove us into. Most of it, Bush didn't pay for the prescription Medicare program. Bush didn't pay for 2 wars he put on the credit card. Bush didn't pay for his tax cuts for the rich, which were urgently not needed. All of this spending had to be paid for. He eats at the restaurant, dines and dashes, gets up. The black guy sits down and has to pay the check. And then they have the nerve to blame him for running up a bill. And half the country is going for this shit.
He hosts Real Time with Bill Maher. We'll talk about the debates after this. We're back with Bill Maher. The first debate is coming next Wednesday night. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts? Usually, I was reading this, the guy out of office wins the first debate because there's no record he's defending. So they were saying that in the first debate, Mondale beat Reagan, Kerry beat Bush, but then it changes after that.
Well, you say beat, I mean beat.
Well, who analyzes it? They score more points because you got something to attack.